Hello and welcome. Today we're diving deep into a really crucial topic: implementing and monitoring risk mitigation controls. This is where we stop just talking about security theory and start getting our hands dirty.
This lesson is produced by EasyPathUni in coordination with Yazan Ibrahim. Our whole approach is going to be interactive and simplified, a lot like what you'd find on platforms like Coursera or Udemy. Think of it like this. A risk assessment might tell you your house could be broken into. That's the theory. What we're talking about today is the action, actually installing the locks, setting up the alarm, and making sure the windows are shut. It's about turning warnings into real, concrete protection.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to look at how to move from a plan to actual action. Then we'll talk about prioritizing, because let's be real, you can't fix everything at once. After that, we'll get into building our defenses, layer by layer. And then we'll tackle what's often the trickiest part, the human element. Finally, we'll cover how to measure success and, crucially, how to keep adapting, because the threats out there are always changing.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, From Plan to Action. This is where the rubber meets the road. All those meetings, all those spreadsheets, this is where they become real.
So, what are these controls we keep mentioning? Well, simply put, they're the specific, tangible things you do to lower your risk. It's your security toolkit. Some are technical, like a firewall that acts as a digital bouncer, blocking threats. Others are procedural, like a company policy that dictates how you handle sensitive data. You absolutely need both, technology and clear rules, to build a solid defense.
Now, you could have 1,000 different controls in your toolkit, but you can't use them all. It would be way too expensive and crazy complicated, and that brings us to a super important step: prioritizing and preparing. It's all about putting your time, money, and effort where you'll get the most bang for your buck.
And to prioritize, well, you've got to know what you're up against. The threat landscape has seriously evolved. We're not just talking about simple viruses anymore. We're facing AI-powered attacks that can think and adapt on the fly, ransomware that doesn't just lock your data but threatens to leak it to the world, and attacks that sneak in through partners or even your smart devices.
Okay, so you know the threats. Now it's time to build your fortress. This is where we start layering our security controls and picking the right tools for the right job.
Your security toolkit can basically be sorted into 4 categories. Let's use a home security analogy. Preventive controls are the strong locks on your doors. They stop bad guys from getting in. Detective controls are the security cameras. They tell you when someone's trying to get in. Corrective controls are your plan to fix the broken window and restore things after a break-in. And deterrent controls, those are the warning security system signs on your lawn. They make attackers think twice. You really need a mix of all 4.
And this is exactly why relying on just one type of defense is a huge mistake. It's like putting all your faith in a single, unbreakable lock. Once it's broken, it's game over. The smart approach is what we call defense in depth. You layer your security. So if they pick the lock, an alarm goes off. If they disable the alarm, the dog starts barking. Each layer backs up the others, creating a system that's resilient, not fragile.
Now, a massive part of building modern defenses is a cultural change known as DevSecOps. For years, security was treated like the last step, a final quality check right before launch. DevSecOps completely flips that on its head. It argues that security isn't a gate at the end, it's a part of the entire journey, from the very first line of code all the way through deployment and beyond.
This whole philosophy is often called the shift-left approach. Just picture a project timeline that goes from left to right. By shifting security all the way to the left, to the very beginning, you catch problems when they're tiny and cheap to fix. I mean, fixing a security flaw during the design phase is easy. Fixing that same flaw after 1 million people have downloaded your app, that's a full-blown crisis. It's all about being proactive instead of reactive.
But here's the thing. You can have the best technology in the world, the most brilliant security architecture, and it can all be brought down by one person clicking one bad link. And that brings us to the human element. Your people are, without a doubt, your greatest strength and your biggest weakness all at once.
So how in the world do you get people to actually engage with security training? Let's be honest, most people see it as a total chore. Well, one really clever answer is gamification. You literally turn it into a game. You get points for spotting a phishing email, you earn badges for finishing training modules, you can even have a leaderboard to see which department is the most security savvy. All of a sudden, that boring required training becomes a fun challenge, and people actually remember what they learned.
Another really powerful idea is creating security champions.
Instead of having the security team locked away in an office, you find enthusiastic people in every single department and empower them to be the go-to security person for their team. They become the advocates, the translators, helping build a security-first culture from the inside out.
Okay, so you've built your defenses, you've trained your people, you're all set, right? Nope, not even close. Now comes the ongoing work. You have to monitor and measure. Because the old saying is true, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And you certainly can't make it better.
This means you have to track the right numbers, the right metrics. These KPIs tell you a story. Things like mean time to detect tell you how fast you spot an attack. Mean time to respond tells you how quickly you shut it down. Your patching rate tells you if your systems are healthy. And tracking phishing clicks? That tells you if your human firewall is getting stronger. This isn't just about creating reports. It's about getting a clear, data-driven look at how you're really doing.
And you're not doing this with a pen and paper. Modern security teams rely on an incredible toolkit. A SIM, for example, is like the mission control for your security, pulling in data from everywhere. EDR and XDR are like digital security guards, actively patrolling your laptops, servers, and network, hunting for anything suspicious. And SOAR is the automation brain that can instantly take action, like locking an account the second a threat is detected, so your human experts can focus on the bigger picture.
And all of this leads us to our final and maybe most important point. You have to adapt and evolve. Security is never a one-and-done project. It has to be a living, breathing system that is always learning and always improving.
A huge part of adapting is being ready for when things go wrong. And here, people often get two key plans confused: business continuity and disaster recovery. Let's clear this up. Your business continuity plan is all about keeping the business running. How do we pay people if payroll systems are down? How do sales folks keep selling? Your disaster recovery plan is purely technical. It's about how we get the servers back online and restore the data. One is about the business, the other is about the tech, and you absolutely need both.
You know, when you boil it all down, all the tools, all the training, all the plans, it really comes back to this one idea. Real success isn't just about buying the fanciest new security gadget. It comes from leadership that truly cares, a culture where everyone feels like security is their job, and being nimble enough to change as fast as the threats do.
So I'll leave you with this final question to think about for your own organization. Is your security just a static wall, sitting there waiting for someone to find a way over it? Or is it more like a living immune system, something that's constantly learning, adapting, and healing itself to become more and more resilient over time?